Hello, hello, and welcome to round number 2 of the ALR Season 5 Tier 1 race today. Let's not turn off my light by accident, that's a bad idea. Who's pinged me on Discord? Oh, stream link. Okay. While we're at it, I'm gonna quickly make my bed. You know, human stuff. And I'll be ready in a second. I'll talk during this time, so don't worry about it. I'm not just going to be silent, but you may hear some background noise for a minute or two. It's just because I am being a good boy and making my bed right now. Great. I'm going to quickly see if I can get away with linking the stream in other places. Hold on. Share. Let's put it there so that people watch it. There we go. Shared the stream about a bit, you're welcome. And let's have a look to the interview lounge, see what people are saying. With 4 minutes left until the start, hopefully, if we get it on time. Oh my god, so many people answered. There we go. So, question 1 for the interview lounge was, what do you think of this track? And the first guy to answer is an actual legend, you know. Like, I love him. Love this guy. His name was KP23. You know, may or may not be me. Maybe. But he says, love it. He loves this track. I do love this track. Oh my god, stop inviting me to a party. I'm commentating. Sick one. So yeah, I do like this track. Question 2 was, who will be on the podium this week at China? I responded, Dressbassen, Ladamala, and Ghost Toy, because Ghost Toy I think had decent pace last week, but it just didn't quite work out for him. He made a few mistakes, he got unlucky with some timings. Sick, we love my controller falling off the thing. Isn't that what we love? Very professional. Professional streamer right here, professional commentator, best you've ever seen. Best you. Let's not take a seat up. Question number 3 was, what do you think will be the pole time this week? Now my prediction was a 29.7. But I got a bit of stick for that one because apparently one of the tier 2 guys was saying that they'd get a 29.0. So we'll have to watch that one. But some people have backed me up, some people not so much. So I guess we're going to see. I'm not sure if I'm going to be right though, because I literally based that off of one race that I didn't practice for right at the beginning of the game's life cycle. So, you know, it's probably going to be a bit quicker than that, if I'm being real. Question number 4. With the first race done, maybe you have a better idea of your expectations for the season. How do you think last week's race went? Obviously, from a spectator's point of view, I said it was great to watch. You know, there was a lot of action, even though Australia isn't maybe the best track for overtaking. So all in all, it was a pretty good race, and my expectations for the season are that it's going to be just as good as, if not better than last season when it comes to general craziness, which we had a lot of last season, you know, action, all that good stuff. Question 5. The real life F1 season finished. Who would you say are the top 3 drivers of the season? I said Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc. Boring choice, but it's boring because it's probably true. Number 6, if you were able to get free tickets to any F1 race next season, which one would you go to and why? I said Silverstone, because it's almost guaranteed to always be a good race. And I don't have to leave the country to go there. That's also a big important note, and our session is starting, so I'll speed through the rest a little bit quicker. Ishtar next up. Question 1, he says take it or leave it. So he's half and half in this track, I think is what we can take from that. You know, we'll have to see how he performs today, but hopefully he's not slow, because he had a decent result last week. Penalties held him back a little bit, but if he can sort that one out, hopefully he can be a bit more involved in the mix this race, which would be fun to see. We love to see racing, that's what we're here for. He says question 2, Dresbassen, Polhui and himself. Ishtar. Okay. Oh no, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. He says Dresbassen, Ladamela, Polhui. He says question number 3, whatever Dresbassen decides to set. Question 4, he says went better than he thought, but he's still going to be a tough season for himself. Question 5 said Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc. And question 6, he says Singapore, any excuse to go to Singapore again. I'm assuming it's a nice country, never been, don't know. It's looking very dark, but it always looks dark in China, so I don't think that's an issue. Is that racist? No, I don't think so. Oh, my TV's going on to standby. Everything's going right now. Just waiting for people to load setups and stuff, you know, get themselves sorted, and we'll ride on board with whoever's first one out of the pit lane. It looks like it's one of the Haas drivers. So, it's hyped. Of course it's hyped. It's always hyped. Hyped who, of course, didn't get to race last week. I don't know if it was because he was late or something, but he, for some reason, was unable to race, and he was in the comment section of the stream saying, why can't I race? So there's obviously a bit of miscommunication or something went on there. Good to see he's back in the seat for this race, though, here in China. Let's have a better view. Okay, Ishtar, so Boomer was the next one to answer. He said, question 1, scored his first podium here, so the track is approved. Question 2, he says, Dresbassen, Polhui and Ishtar. Question 3 says he agrees with Ishtar, which was whatever Dresbassen decides to set. And question 4, he says, still scrapping for points, hoping Rossi will not screw him again. Okay. Question 5, he says, let's go for different names, Perez, Gasly and Gio. And question 6, Zandvoort, lowest travel costs. Fair enough. Okay, after that I got abused by RDO, and Dresbassen was the next person to answer. He said question 1, he doesn't like it, not any fun part of the circuit for him, hard to get the setup right, difficult traction zones, by far his least favourite track on the calendar. But it produces some entertaining races with unpredictable weather, so hopefully he'll get that as Hyped begins his first lap. Number 2 says Dresbassen, Ladamela and Polhui. Question 3, he says a 1:29.5, but he hasn't done enough practice to know for sure yet. Question 4, he says he's felt quite confident during his last race, got to stay focused for the rest of the season though, he's thrown away championships before because of the pressure, so he has to keep his head cool, and he thinks that he's one of the favourites of the championship. Ladamela and Polhui seemed quite quick as well, so they're in for a close season. Best drivers, he said Hamilton, Leclerc, Perez. His Danish heart said K-Mag, as Hyped ends up in the gravel, so that's not going to be a good lap from him. Who's close to him on track? one of the, I think that's Ishtar. Yeah, so Ishtar will be the first one to set a representative lap. No, he won't. Already cursing people today. So no, I'm looking for the other Williams of Scoolsy, who should hopefully be the first person to set a representative lap. He says, number 6, probably Spa. A lot of Danes go to that race and it's such a classic. Not his favourite of the season, but there's something about it. Pole, he says, it's alright for question number 1. 2, he says, German name, lad and hyped. I guess he's talking about Drisbassen there, who is a Danish name, not a German one. Question 3 says, there's always no clue. Question 4, a win is the goal and picked up the errors from others. Question 5, Perez, Sainz and Ricciardo with Gasly close. And question 6, none would be lonely on his own on the stands. As the first lap of the session is a 1:30.3 from Scoolsy. Very nice stuff from him. And we get a 29.0 already, so I guess my prediction was horrible. Nah, I said a 28 something all along, you know. Never ever mentioned the number 29. Obviously. So goes with the fast time at the moment. Looking good for my prediction because I predicted a podium from him. No pressure. Okay, where else are we looking? Sector 1 is yours, just people slowing down. One of the McLarens coming to the end of the lap. I think it's Pontus Johansson with a kind of underwhelming race last week as he goes 9 with the P9 with a 1:31.0. I expect a bit more from him, and Drisbassen P2 there, a 29.7. That's what I predicted the pole time would be. Okay. Sick. Okay, and I think that's really it for people on laps. I think Laurence is coming up to complete that, so he gets another chance this week. He scored points last week. He is of course a reserve. In fact, he's invalidated, so he won't get a chance. So is Mr. Stickerlass. No one else is on a lap, I don't think. So Hugh Sam it is. Let's watch him as he comes down towards turn 1, braking really as you want to start turning into the corner. It's quite late. He's trying to feather the brake and control your speed all the way through this corner and not do that, just so that you can skid over to the right side and get the best line possible for the second part of the hairpin. So you can get down this long straight to the sector 1 split where you get another hairpin. Just keep it tight to the apex. You don't really want to touch the curb there. It's not the nicest curb in the world, so staying away from that is good for your lap time. Now this is a tricky section. A long fast left-hander followed by a medium speed right-hander. Very tricky to get right. You'd want to ideally take the left-hander flat, and then in here a very tricky braking zone. You're moving under the brakes, and then as you accelerate you're also moving as he invalidates. He does not invalidate on the exit. So that sequence there, very hard to get right. Now into the slower section, third gear he chooses for there, before coming to the right, the long medium speed right-hander as he spins. Very easy to do that there. And your exit off of here is really crucial for the straight coming up. Long straight, 1 kilometre long. Used to be the longest straight in F1, not anymore, I don't think, with Mexico coming onto the calendar in 2016. Brakes at the end of the curb there into the apex of this corner. Could cut it a bit more than that. You want to take as much exit as you want before coming over to the right and taking this left-hander as fast as you possibly can without running wide or spinning like that to complete your lap and cross the line. I don't think I picked a good time to do that. That lap breakdown. There we go. Hugh Sam with... Was that on purpose? I don't know. But the slowest time of the session and is out of the session. Let's have a look at what Rossi's doing. Looking much nicer from him at the moment. Excuse me a second. And Husam left the session, so I think that might have been a rage quit. Unfortunately for us, we've been robbed of a driver in this session. Rossi did come across the line for P5 130.0, so there's a big spread actually at the top of the field here at the moment, with Ghost Toy being quite a ways ahead of the other guys as it stands, Tambi and Drisbassen being close in P2 and 3. Okay then. Whatever. Let's see who else is on the lap. Ghost is on the lap, so hopefully we can ride on board with him and get a slightly better lap rundown as Rossi gets well out of the way. Flat through here, 7th gear. I think I saw a slight lift there, could be mistaken though. As we switch over to the right, coming into the left now, braking is hyped, now gets out of the way. He short shifts to 4th for a better exit, good traction all the way down. Second sector split, how's he looking? He's slightly down on his time. A small lock up into the left-hander there as well, but he gets it positioned nicely for the right-hander now. Waiting, patient, and he can now accelerate. Good exit onto the back straight here. He's going to get DRS around about now. It's a long way down towards the hairpins. He's got all this time to pick out his braking point. 200, 150, end of the curb, using the curb as much as possible. Locks a little bit on the inside, so didn't quite maybe cut that corner as much as he could. But it's still looking fast. He comes through the final corner, he extends an exit, and that's going to be an invalidation. He was a 10th and a half up as well. Tambi is currently on a lap as well, so let's see what he's able to do if he's going to improve his time in the rest of this lap. 7 minutes and 40 seconds left in this session. Brakes very late and misses the apex there of the hairpins. That's going to cost him a bit here on the exit. Going to use the outside curb, as much inside curb as he can, and just touches the outside curb on exit to make sure that he does not invalidate, and that's going to be a 29.5 from Tambi. Moves him up into P2 for the front row of the grid. Let's see, it looks like his teammate Pontus Johansson is going to be the next one to cross the lines. Let's see what he's able to do through this last little part of his lap. It's P6 with a 130.2, so that still puts him 1.2 seconds off the current provisional pole time. And it's looking like Ghost Toy is very comfortable there actually out in the lead. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Obviously Drisbassen could challenge him. We don't know what his lap was like since we didn't get to see much of it. He was lucky not to invalidate there, but that's going to lose him time nonetheless. He's lost the back end on the exit. He's down by about 2/10. So it doesn't look like there's going to be an improvement this time around unless he has a mega final sector. As he comes, he backs out. So he's not going to complete this lap. Polwy, however, looks like he's preparing for that. I don't know what's going on here. What's he doing? Right. Sven on the lap. Let's see if it's any good. Of course, he is on the mediums right now, so let's see if he's able to do any kind of improvement here in the final sector. He is going to dive into the pits, so it was obviously not improving his time there. Hyped on a lap, he's got to improve from the 130.5 that he did, which is actually, if you look at it, we have 1 second covering the top 5 and then 1 second covering the next 12 cars after that, so it's kind of looking like there's a Formula 1 and a Formula 1.5 here. As to use an example from the devices, Hyped is 7/10 up, so it's definitely going to be a solid lap at least here from Hyped, looking good for about P4 at the moment. Any extra time he can find in this final sector will help him get closer to that pole time, but it's not looking like he's going to get very close just yet. This really was a great time from Ghost Toy. see all your support for your drivers and stuff in the comments, of course. So to see as he comes through the final corner, it's a very strange gear technique, and he doesn't use DRS as much as he should to cross the line, but he found 9/10, and that puts him into second place, front row of the grid. Maybe if he'd been a bit quicker on the DRS, it could have been even closer to that time set by Ghost Toy, but it's not looking like anyone really has the pace to challenge it as it stands. We'll have to see what happens with the track evolution towards the end of the race qualifying session. Okay, Stan, how'd you end up here? He spun on the exit of turn 1, so looks like he maybe just understeered off the track, would be my guess, as he lets through some faster cars. Mr. Stickerlass coming towards the end of his first flying lap in this session with 4 minutes left, so he's leaving it a little bit late as it stands. That is a really impressive lap from Ghost Toy, yeah, you're right. 29.0 is quite a way ahead of what I predicted for pole time here, but it is someone, I think RDO was saying that someone in tier 2 said that they could also do that lap, as Mr. Stickerlass is a 130.8, putting him only P15 as it stands. And Ishtar's invalidated his lap, so he's only really going to get one more shot to be able to start with, well, not last basically. So the pressure's on. Stan, yeah, just doing what looks like a cool down lap as Smatters comes to finish his lap. What's it going to be? P7 with 130.1. He improved by nearly 2/10 there. So good stuff from him to move himself further up the top 10. Tarumba also on a flying lap with a very good middle sector by the looks of it, but I don't know if that's just a game glitch. It is quite common for that to just be a game glitch, so we'll just have to see as he comes through the final sector down that long back straight. DRS open now, and he's just got to sit, wait for his braking point to come up. Of course, the curb on the left hand side there. You see the line he takes very nicely, hits the apex there. I've noticed no one's really looked to cut that corner too much so far in this session, so maybe they believe it's slower, but Tarumba crosses the line. It's P5 with the 29.8. Very nice from him for what will probably be his last lap of the session, since there's not enough time for him to get back to the pits, change tyres and get back out again. So he will be looking at P5 at the best as it currently stands. Same for Tambi, he's on a flying lap, but the first sector he's matched himself, so he's got it all to find in the middle and final sector if he wants to get on that front row. We'll have to see. As he comes through the double left-hander now, traction through here, very important. Also important not to run too wide there, because you could lose the rear end over the curb. You could also run wide and invalidate. It's slightly up now as he comes through the middle sector, so it is looking like it's going to be an improvement. It at the moment is just about enough to still second away from Hyped, but can he find even more through the final sector here? We'll have to find out, as someone just set a good lap, can't quite see who it is. Basket Emil moves himself up into P8 with a 30.0, of course completing his lap. But all eyes on Tambi right now as he comes through the final corner. Fifth gear he chooses this time, very aggressive, runs out a lot wider than he did last time. It's going to be a 29.4. Puts him about a 10th ahead of Hyped. So let's see if Hyped has any response to that. Someone else who could have a response to that is Dressbassen, last week's winner. Currently a little bit up on his time, with a 29.7 being his current best, as he runs wide and invalidates. So that's it for his session at the moment. Stan looks like he's given up on his session as well. He's actually quite dangerously in the way there. Let's see who else is on a lap. Rudy is on a lap. Actually, both Racing Points are on a lap. So Ishtar now starts his lap. Pole, he only goes P17. It's a 35.4. So hopefully he is able to go for another lap. So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. Hopefully he can just hook up this final lap and get it right. We have both Williamses. Cars travelling around in pairs at the moment. Very strange to see at a downforce track like this. Rudy, P3 with a 29.5, puts himself ahead of hyped as it is. And his teammate Sculsey with a 30.0, P9 only. So he's right on the verge there of maybe being knocked out should someone like Pontus Johansson and Lawrence set good laps, as we know they can from last week. Trespassing retired, so he's not going to do any better than P5. Basket and Mill retired, so he's not doing better than P8. Rossi completes his lap and it's P10 only. And Pontus Johansson pits, so it's looking like it's going to be safe for Rossi, who is the driver at risk, as Lawrence completes his lap and it's only P13 for him. Unfortunately, Ghost Toy coming to cross the line. Let's see what we can do. It's a 28.7. Wow. What a lap. As yeah, he's completely demolished his competition there by 7/10 of a second to the next fastest car. That's crazy. Let's see, and it's an invalidated lap for pole, meaning that he will start at 19th place. So that really is everyone finished, as we wait for Stan to make his way back. Has he run out of fuel? I think he has. Yeah, definitely seems like it. Obviously we have to wait for Pulpy and Tambi to get into their garages too. Well, hopefully that won't take too long. Tambi has gotten into his garage. Pulpy has nearly gotten into his garage actually. He's just being spun around, as you see in the background. Just waiting on Stan now. So yeah, a very eventful qualifying really. Times out there that we wouldn't have really expected, especially from the likes of Ghost Toy, who beat 5th place by a second. For reference, I think that, so yeah, 5th place was a second behind. Till we get 2 seconds behind, we have to go all the way back to P17. So 12 drivers within a second there. Whereas the top 5 were also separated by that 1 second, so I have a feeling it's going to be quite a predictable race. But we never know in ALR, of course. There's always action to go around, and we don't know what the weather is. Actually, talking about it, Smatters with a 5-position grid penalty. We'll start in P18 and move everyone else up. But Ghost Toy is on pole with a 128.7. Tambi 7/10 off from P2. Rudy 3rd, Hyped 4th, Wilt 5th. Trespassing 6th, Stan 7th, Turumbar 8th, Basket Emil 9th, and Sculsey 10th. Everyone else will get a free choice of tyres on the start of the race, of course. So maybe they can come up with a good strategy to make their way up the grid. Just waiting for everything to load now before we get to the most exciting bit of a race, of course, the formation lap. I do love myself a good formation lap, as you guys know. Yeah. I get why we put the formation lap on in league racing, but it is boring. But anyway, just see who's going to load. We have 7 seconds, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we should be good to start the formation lap. And we are. Light goes out. Cars start to move. Good stuff. Obviously the worst thing to happen is, it's a thing that still exists in this game, is the glitch where you get held on the grids, which of course waste time, ruins a lot of the fun. As you can see, the predicted race stop strategy there, a 1 stop from soft to hards, pitting on lap 6. The softs die here so quick. And if we have a quick look at who outside the top 10, what everyone's starting on, it's all mediums except Pulpy, who's on the hards. So they'll all be trying the mediums to hard strategy, which I think is a bit quicker than the soft to hard strategy. but Polwy can then choose to try hards to softs and see if he can get that to work, which is also a very quick strategy. Not sure how it stacks up against the others, but it's what I used last time I did this track. So yeah. Quite surprised to see names like Ishtar, Pontus Johansson, Lawrence, Boomer, Polwy outside the top 10 like that, but it is good for guys like Scholesy, Basket and Mill and Wilt to get into the top 10, as they struggled a bit last race. Same with Rudy actually, he struggled a bit in Australia, but it's good to see he's back on form here in China, as we saw him last season's Mexican Grand Prix. If you missed that one, make sure you go back and watch it, of course. It's definitely worth it. So just coming through the final bit of the track here with our leader. Ghost Toy will be the one to lead them down into turn 1. Or he hopes so anyway. Providing he gets a good start. Tambi though, after struggling last race, our reigning champion has found himself back on the front row of the grid. So let's see if he can mount any kind of challenge into the race and show us all why he won the championship last season over the likes of Ladamala and Stan. Speaking of Ladamala, he's not here, is he? That would be who Lawrence is replacing, I think. I think Ladamala's the Renault. Yeah. So I've worked out why we have a reserve on the grid now. Ladamala's missing. And now we're just waiting for the lights. There they are. Getting ready for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix. We are away, and it's been a good getaway there from Tambi on the right hand side. In fact, he's already up into the lead of this race with the inside line. Maybe Rudy's going to look to the inside. No, he just has to go defensive against Hyped, who's still on his inside. Hyped on the grass there, but he still made it work, and Hyped moves himself up to P3. But Rudy's back down his inside for turn 2. Of course, the corner switches back, allowing for that kind of move, and he has held on for now. But as we come down towards the hairpin, is there going to be a dive bomb from Hyped? There is. Become a trademark of his in recent times, the dive bomb. And maybe Rudy's going to lose out to Dress Basson here as well. No, just about keeps ahead of the Alfa Romeo. No, he's gone a bit wide into turns, whatever turn that is. 2, 3, 4, 5. And Dress Basson had a little bit of a look up the inside, but thought better of it coming into the final part of the middle sector here. It looks like it's chaos at the back. People going side by side everywhere as Husam going around the outside of Pontus Johansson, who clearly had a horrible start on the medium tyres to find himself all the way down in P17 already. But Tambi now with a gap of 6.5 tenths, feeling a bit more comfortable back where he's used to being, out the front leading a Grand Prix. As we have maybe some moves towards the front here. Tarumbar tries it on Stan. Stan holds it on the outside, and he does, but Tarumbar's now lost 2 more positions to Scholesy and Basket and Mill on the run down to the final corner. So that move did not work out for him at all. Now we have one of the racing points as our leaderboard glitches, so I can't tell you which one. I think it's Polwy trying to get past someone, but he's dropped behind a Mercedes. I don't know what's going on. Please stop glitching. Wait, is that Ish? I'm confused. Has it sorted itself out? It still says it's lap 3. No, it's not sorted itself out. There we go. Sorted itself out. And Hyped leaves the session. So a disconnection there for Hyped, which has happened way too often for him. He really needs to get his connection sorted, but I am going to quickly re-invite him. So if anything happens, I'm sorry. I'll try and catch up with it quickly. Invitation sent. Okay, as Rudy gets past Hyped, of course, disconnected, so he's going to lose so many positions now, as that AI car is not fast, and Lawrence has fallen to the back of the grid. He's had a spin, doesn't have any damage, so I wonder what went on there for him, as Polwy is trying around the outside of Husam onto the back straight, and it looks like it might have worked. but we won't find out because of the glitch where if you look behind you it shows a different car. He's come back to the racing line, so I think it's just about work. This is a horrible camera angle to see a fight in, but he is ahead into the hairpin now. This Ghost Toy with the fastest lap, so he is catching the leader, and he's made a move into turn 1, but is Tambi going to be able to come back at him on the the inside? He's going to have to be on the outside for turn 2 though. He might think of a switch back here. He doesn't, he tries to hold it, and he's lost out P1 because of it. Unfortunately for him there. But I'm sure he'll hope he can, obviously it's lap 3, DRS is enabled, so hopefully he can keep within that DRS range and use it to pull himself along a bit, so that this race isn't dead already. With this nice, as hyped leaves. Okay, I'm not re-inviting him. As very wide there from Tambi, he might have even got a warning for that, as Basket moves himself up to P8 after Hype's second disconnection. He'll soon lose out to Boomer and Tarumba as well, I'm sure. So heading back towards the front, we have just Bassin putting a little bit of pressure on Rudy here, as of course Boomer passing Hyped. DRS open. Let's see what he's able to do. I don't think he's close enough to make anything work this time round. And this is kind of, I think, a sign to come for the rest of this race. This is one of those races where you kind of just get into a DRS train and try and hold on to the middle sector. Maybe not always the best for action this race, but it's always usually close, at least, with some unpredictable situations as well. It's Hyped actually rejoined. Someone was nice enough to send in a friend request as Sven Pitts. So I don't know what happened to him, but obviously he's picked up damage somewhere. Very unfortunate for him in this race. As Tambi, he's just about holding on, but I'm not sure how much longer he'll be able to stay within that 1 second. As I say that, he's already dropped outside. My interviews disappear. What a sick game. Love it. So he looks outside of a second. Probably is outside of a second. But we won't know until they cross the line as Hyped leaves again. What is this man's connection? I don't know. But whatever it is, he needs to get it sorted. Because I know people complain about it a lot. Anyway, coming down the back straight now, doesn't look like anyone's really close enough to threaten. Actually, Skulzy is very close to Wilt. He locks up a bit, but he does make the move. Moves himself up into P5 of this race. Down at the hairpin, but is Wilt going to be able to come back at him through... down the main straight, sorry, as he will have DRS now. I don't think he's close enough this time round. And no, so Skulzy keeps it ahead into turn 1. Yeah, as we also have Hyped and Stam pitting, probably to get rid of those softs, maybe looking for an undercut. Because believe it or not, lap 5 is actually within the pit window, unfortunately for the tyres on this track. So we will be seeing a lot of early stops, especially from these guys up at the top, which will obviously be able to bring the guys further down the grid into the order, especially those that started on the medium or hard tyres. Will be able to take advantage of this very early stop, use their better tyres to their advantage later on. And it looks like the Ferraris are going to swap positions into the sector split. Rossi does get ahead of Tarumba there, but I think he's given Tarumba DRS, which I'm not sure how well thought out that move was, but he is on the mediums, so he will have a pace advantage from now on in this race over Tarumba on some very worn softs. Let's see, in the back there, Husam all over the back of Mr. Stickerlass, and he moves himself round the outside and up into P11. So for the man who crashed in qualifying, it's been a decent recovery so far up into P11 on the edge of points as Rudy pits and Hyped joins again. So now that puts Husam P10 and in the points. So I never thought he'd be in the points on lap 6, given the position he started in. He's basically being pushed through there by Mr. Stickerlass, who has the smatters all over the back of him at the moment. Is he going to look for a move into the hairpin, I wonder? He does look like he's got a better exit. He thinks better of it though. He has a small little look to the inside, but does not go for it this time. Now let's see through the middle sector, how close is he going to be able to stick on the back of that Alfa Romeo? It's really crucial to stay as close as you can through this little section. He has a little snap of oversteer, but so does Mr. Stickerlass. He's going to take his opportunity now. Oh, and they've touched, and Mr. Stickerlass is off, and he's going to lose the position to Pontus as well. So he's lost 2 positions there because of that small contact with Smatters, who looked like he maybe moved across just a little bit into the braking zone. So I think if I've got to pin that one on anyone, it would be Smatters. Basket Emil is now been passed by Rossi for P7 in this race. Of course, Basket Emil on those worn softs, Rossi on those not so worn mediums. I wouldn't exactly call them new though, he has been on them since the start of the race as Basket also pits. As you can see, most of the leaders pitted now. We have Tarumba out of this race. What happened to him? So on the exit there, he's not got a wheel. Safety car. So that's perfectly timed for those guys that pitted there, because they're going to lose very little amount of time compared to before. But what happened to Tarumba to be there on the exit of that corner with no wheels? Very strange. We'll have to see if anyone reports that one later in the steward's report, so we can get a good look at what actually went on there. But what this does is it promotes Sculsey into the lead of this race, but he is on soft tyres, and they're old soft tyres, so hopefully he's going to take this opportunity to pit, as he hasn't caught the safety car, and he won't lose as much time due to everyone else driving around at the Delta. Wow, you guys in the chat are yeah. Wow, that sounded like he was doing burnouts there. Yeah, it is quite unfortunate that your connection is like this hyped. It keeps kicking you, yeah. Is a known glitch, of course. Unfortunately, we have to just deal with it the best we can. Look at that, everyone is pitting. Some people for the second time. Interestingly, are they going to go on to hards? Yeah, they are. Look at that, hard tyres. So this puts Polby in the lead of the race on lap 8 when he started last, well, near enough last. What? How did he get up there? Well, however he managed it, well done to him. But this has also moved Ghostway back into second place on those hard tyres, Tabby back into third, and Sculsey into fourth. So once he pits, it would basically be the same order it was before, of course, with the safety car neutralising the race. Every single driver now on this track is on the hard tyres. So yeah, it's just telling what the tyre wear at this track is like, really. The fact that everyone has now stopped for hard tyres except Polby, who started on his hards, but will be able to go quite long into this race. I'm thinking maybe lap 20, maybe 21 to pit onto some softs, given that the car will be larger at the end and tyre wear will be a bit less. Anyway. So just quickly have a look at position change. Oh, 5 seconds for Mr. Sticklass. Severe collision with Pontus Johansson. I think Pontus also got a penalty for that. So they've collided under the safety car, Pontus being ahead. But luckily they've pitted, so they might be able to get that removed at the end. And Polvy's looking like he's dropping a long way behind the safety car here. Is it coming in? Don't remember seeing anything saying that it's coming in. I don't think it is. But he can't fall too far back, otherwise it will tell Ghost Toy and Tambi to overtake him. Obviously you have to stay within 10 car lengths of the safety car at all times, and for those in the pack, 10 car lengths of the car ahead at all times. So I think what we're actually waiting for is Hyped to get round the lap and join onto the back of this train so that we can get going once again, but he's not going too fast. Okay, he's not exactly going slowly, but it's very strange. Maybe he's in AI mode or something. So yeah, if we have a quick look at... Yes, so the only driver not making a stop here is Polwy. Oh, stands on the mediums. How did I miss that? That's not good for him, because that means that he's going to have to stop again in this race, whereas no one else will. But maybe he thinks he can make up the ground on the medium tyres to make it worth it. Of course, currently in P7, as Hyped has left the session. Cool stuff. Yeah, so maybe he thinks he can get through this traffic fast enough and pull enough of a gap to improve on P7, maybe? I don't know, it seems like a strange strategy call, but the safety car is in this lap no matter what he was thinking. So we now watch Polwy slow down the pack. He's going to create a bigger gap as possible to allow for the safety car to get into the pits, and he will then be able to go whenever he wants once that happens. This is a very slow pace, but the safety car is about to enter the pits. The safety car is now in the pits, so from any point from here on, Polwy can go. Again, he's gone now in a very strange place. Of course, you can go quite early here because it's not the longest main straight to get slipstream and past. There's loads of cars going wide at the exit of the final corner there. I think one of them was Boomer and the other one was Stan there. So maybe some madness going on even before they're able to overtake, which is not an encouraging sign for the quality of the racing to come. Why has it done this? Oh, and Ghost Toy now looking for the move on Polwy already. Polwy defends to the inside, is the better line, and Ghost Toy looking like he just about runs out of room there, and now is under pressure from Tambi. Of course, there's no way you're going to overtake through this corner. It's just not going to happen. And really all you can do through this middle sector is stick as close as you possibly can to prepare yourself for that long back straight where you're going to have, obviously not right now because you don't get DRS for the first 2 laps after a safety car comes in, but for later on they will have DRS, so it's all about getting themselves into a good position as possible right now. long straight with the terrible camera angle, and goes looking to the outside once again. He's gone a bit wide there versus Polby. He's looking for a switchback. He's going to be on the outside again for the final corner, and he backs out, which is probably the smarter choice here, because now he's going to have a much better run down the main straight into turn 1. Is he going to be able to send it? Maybe not. Maybe because he needs to be worried about Tamby just behind. If he makes a mistake here, Tamby, I'm sure, will take that opportunity to come on through. You can see he's positioned himself for a better exit here versus Polby. He's now going to, of course, use his ERS down this straight and see if he can make a move into the hairpin. Not close enough this time. And he's going to have to sit behind once again through this very technical middle sector. Yeah, it looks like Tamby actually is able to keep onto the back of Ghost a little bit better than Ghost is able to do on Polby, but he's had a much better exit with a double left-hander there, so I don't know if Polby made a mistake or if Ghost just nailed it, but he's way closer than he was before with what looks like a better run through the final corner. So maybe, of course, Slipstream very helpful down the straight. Maybe he can look for a move into the hairpin this time around. So we have yellows at the back. It's one of the Mercedes' Sven, and he's collided with Mr. Stickerlass. There's yellow flags, no safety car as it stands, and Ghost makes a huge lunge, makes the mistake though, and Polwy comes back through for the lead of this race. What a defensive drive from him so far, but DRS will now be enabled, and it's going to become a lot harder for him as he goes defensive. But in the background here we have Rudy defending the inside from Stan. They touch. Is Stan going to try the switch back on him? He is. Going to hold the inside. It's going to turn to the outside for the hairpin. They touch once again, and that is not a move that's going to happen this time round. Tamby actually falling a little bit further off the back of Ghost right now, as a Stan goes for it again round the outside of the hairpin, gets squeezed a little bit towards the curb and does not have the momentum to keep alongside it. In fact, he does, but they've touched, and Stan is round. He comes back onto the track and just about Ghosts in time. Otherwise his teammate would have had a huge collision with him there. That's put Stan all the way down to P14, and I'm sure he will feel that he wasn't given enough room on the inside there by Scoolsy. Here we have a battle for the lead. Very close there by Ghost. In fact, I think he had to lift off there to make sure he didn't run into the back of Polby. Just showing how much better those tyres are, even though the hard tyres shouldn't have that much difference. We have more yellows in the back, and it's for... I'm not sure who it's for, but Ghost Toy is through on Polby, and Polby doesn't get the chance to come back at him because Tamby also goes for the move there. Is he able to hold on to it? He is, and now Scoolsy fancies a chance. Around the outside of the final corner, he turns in on Polby and forces Polby to cut the corner there. So Polby losing 3 positions in not very long. He's about to lose a 4th position to Dress Basson now as they go into turn 1. I'm not sure if that was the best driving ever there from Scoolsy. Once again, he did seem like he just turned in on Polby there and didn't leave the space that he needed. So I don't know. I think that's another one that might be getting looked at by the stewards after the race, but I don't know. Through this middle section of the track, once again it's a bit of a procession really, just people trying to stay close enough to maybe go for a move later on in the lap. More yellow flags, and it's one of the McLarens. Is it Pontus? It is Pontus. He's way off the track there, so it looks like there's been contact there, and he's having a bit of trouble coming back onto the track. Well, I don't know what's going on there, but it seems like it's all kicking off at the back of the field, to be honest. Scoolsy, look how close he was to the back of Tamby there, locking up into the hairpin. Tamby unable to keep with Ghost Toy still, and we have more yellows. I think it's Pontus again. So it's just going from bad to worse for him. Unfortunately, it's not going to be easy to recover from there for him, as we are now halfway through this race. 14 out of 28 laps. And maybe not been the most exciting Chinese Grand Prix ever, but it's definitely still been eventful. Of course, with half the race still left, it is all to play for, as we have Husam right on the back of the Alpha Tauri here. We have Lawrence fighting what looks like a lapped Hyped. Not fighting him anymore after that huge mistake there from Hyped. So yeah, not a great race for him either, as Lawrence gets 3 seconds for multiple warnings, running wide on the exit there. That's going to count for a lot at the end of this race, actually, because it's actually one of the harder tracks to get penalties. So getting one is actually really, really bad for you. Especially since it's so easy to get into trains here. As Rossi makes a move on Boomer, but Boomer's got the inside and he's made a mistake though. Lots of traction there. That's going to allow Rossi to come back down the inside for the final corner. He's held it, but there's going to be a better exit there for Boomer, I think, as Polwy pits. Is he going to be able to do anything into turn 1? No, because they all have DRS. Boring. And now we come back towards the front. Dress Basson quite close to the back of Scorsese. Scorsese dropped a bit off the back of Tambi. Tambi now 2.5 seconds behind Ghost. So it will take a lot to change the result of this race, I think. But never count anything out, as Smatters gets the fastest lap of the race with 1:33.7 on those medium tyres. Of course, he's down in P16, so I'm not really sure if it's worth it, but he's still got it nonetheless. Now let's see who was able to keep close enough through this middle sector. Looking at the gaps, not really anyone. Actually, maybe Ishtar. We'll have to see what it's looking like for him as we come onto the straight. Where is Ishtar? Down in P14. Is this close enough to make a move into the hairpin? No. DRS trains, we love them. Someone who is quite close though, Boomer, as well as Dress Basson. So obviously, maybe it's setup related, but these Dress Basson has been able to get quite close to Scorsese at this point in the lap, but kind of seems like he just drops off a bit too much through the middle sector. Small mistake there, I think, from Scorsese. That's allowed Dress Basson to close up a couple of tenths through that second corner. A lock up there for Scorsese. So that's probably going to gain Dress Basson even more time. The Smatters with another fastest lap of the race on those medium tyres. I'm not sure that anyone's really going to beat that in the rest of this race, because everyone's on hards until the end. We'll have to see. Another safety car, and people could easily pit for softs or something, so we'll just have to see. It's really hard to find something to talk about when the race is like this, actually. There's more people. I guess Husam there looking close on the back of Basket, but once again it's just not close enough into the hairpin. You really need to be about 3 tenths behind the car ahead coming onto that back straight, despite how long it is, to make a move work when both cars have DRS. Very wide from the Haas there. The problem with that is Stan pits once again in this race. Strategy letting him down, I think, here. He's going to drop all the way down to P14. But yeah, the problem with overtaking at this track is you have to be so close, even with the long back straight. I think it's about 3.5 tenths maybe coming onto that back straight to make an overtake on someone with the same DRS as you, as Husam going for a move down the inside on the Basket. Basket's going to take a wider line, have a better exit though. Husam with the shorter run down into the next corner though. He turns, he's ahead. So that's P9 now for Husam, and Basket is moved down to P10, but Husam of course has a penalty. So we'll have to watch where that puts him towards the end of this race. Big mistake there for Husam. He's dropped himself back down behind Basket. Got a bit on the grass on the exit there, so I don't know quite what he did there, but it's cost him a lot of time. He's now over a second behind Basket, so that is horrible, horrible stuff for him. As we come on to the 18th lap of the race now, and we have Boomer making a move on Rossi. Rossi holding the inside line though, of course. Once again it turns to the outside line for turn 2, so as long as Boomer's able to keep himself in there, it should work out for him. They touch through turn 2 and Boomer gets the better run on the exit, but now that's going to put Rossi under pressure from Wilt. Is Wilt going to look for a dive into the hairpin? He doesn't, and Rossi moves down into P7 with Boomer P6 in this race. And who else is close? Ishtar has finally caught up to the back of Swen and is going to... Actually, he looks quite a bit faster than Swen as it stands. And maybe he can be the person that gets within that 3/10 on the back straight. No, something tells me he's not. Big mistake there from Ishtar. I don't know if he maybe outbroke himself a little bit, or if he was just surprised by how early the car had broke, but he's lost a lot of time from that mistake and he's got to gain it all back now. Now Rossi looking for a better run, loses the rear end. That's not going to help him at all, but I don't think Wilt is close enough to take advantage, as Rudy gets 3 seconds for multiple warnings. Luckily for him, he's just over 3 seconds ahead of Boomer at the moment. But that could all change very quickly. Of course, always does in these kinds of races. Wilt looking very close to the back of Rossi as well, so Rossi has to be careful if he goes to a move that it doesn't cost him too much time. Stan with the fastest lap of the race, 1:32.7. He currently sits in P15. Just taking points away from his rivals at this point, I guess. Doing the best with what he has. Just seeing how close he's able to stick behind for this middle sector. This next sequence of corners is going to be crucial to opening up his opportunities for an overtake. Let's see. Coming out, he has a decent exit, but he is just over half a second behind, and Boomer had a bit more ERS to play with by the looks of it, so I don't think he's going to get anywhere near close enough down the straight. But Basket did have a little look there as Husam goes for a huge lunge on him, and it doesn't quite work out. He's conceded the place back down to P10 for him, and all it's really done is cost both drivers a lot of time to the cars ahead. I don't know if he missed his braking point or if that was just a move gone wrong, but it didn't work out this time as Lawrence pits from P13. So that's really his chances in this race dwindling at this stage. And let's see now who is close. It's Rossi once again able to keep close to the back of that Merc. Not so much anymore. 3/10. He's going to have a better exit through here by the looks of it. Now it's all about these next couple of corners. Can he keep it that gap away really? In fact, he needs to close it a bit, given the fact that he dropped off a bit. And we have more yellows. I can't tell who it's for though. No one seems to be going slow. It might be a glitch. I think it is. Okay, they've glitched yellows, and Rossi looks a little bit for the move, locks up into the corner, but is unable to do anything this time round. It keeps looking like he's losing the back end through there, so that won't help his run onto the main straight either. But he's going to open DRS nonetheless. Actually, he's had a really good run here. It looks like he's using a lot of ERS. Is he going to go for a move into turn 1? Not this time. But maybe he's going to look for a lunge into turn 2. No. Not really a safe place to lunge turn 2 because you're already kind of swinging out from turn 1. So the room will disappear very quickly if you don't get it right. Five tenths once again for this middle sector. Actually, Ishtar is able to keep close to Swen, and Hyped leaves the session once again. Great stuff. I mean, I've said it before, but his connection is not good. And actually, good thing for Ishtar here is Swen does not have DRS on anyone, so Ishtar should be able to make the move fairly easily down this back straight. We'd be asking questions if he doesn't. Garrett's open and he's passed the Mercedes really easily down the straight, and that's him up into P11 with the next car, Husam, 3 seconds ahead. Hyped has once again joined the session. 3 laps down, as it says at the moment, so not sure if it's going to be anything important for him. But Rossi's looking into turn 1 on Boomer. He's got it done. Is Boomer able to come back with a switch? Doesn't look like it right now, so that's Rossi moving himself up into P6 finally after all of that waiting. He's got the move done. Now can he hold on to it? He is quite close. Sorry, no, he's 4.5 seconds behind Rudy, so now he's got to try and keep that car ahead without DRS of his own, so that's going to be quite a lot of ERS he's going to drain over the next few laps, and that might even be what caused Boomer to lose that position in the first place. Is our intervals glitch once again. Don't we love this game? This game with absolutely nothing wrong with it. Yeah, getting our intervals back now. No one really within any kind of overtaking range by the looks of it. A bit of a strange exit there from Wilt. Maybe he made a mistake, lost the back end a bit on the exit, so yeah. see what you guys are saying down there in the comments. Can I go on board and see if your car lags? Doesn't look like it's lagging, no. So yeah, I'm not fully sure what the issue is, but it's very unlucky for you at the moment, Hyped, that this keeps happening over and over and over again. So yeah. Again, DRS opens for everyone, no one can find a way past. Hasn't that just been the story of this race? Unfortunately, yeah. That's all we can do though. Yeah, you see some of these cars here, they're able to stay like half a tenth behind because they gain on the straights with the slipstream and DRS. So everyone bunches up in the straights, but then through this middle sector they just spread out again because of the dirty air, and it's just impossible to keep close enough to the car ahead because of the lack of downforce caused by the dirty air. So it is really a big issue for this track, really, that this happens. They just cannot overtake. As we see, Smatters pits there, so maybe looking for a fastest lap towards the end of this race here. Probably going to pick the soft tyres with 4 laps left. As Rossi and Boomer, so I think that's Rossi has run out of ERS, is Hyped with the fastest lap. So Rossi maybe run out of ERS to defend with, and that's allowed Boomer back through. He's going to want that position back as soon as possible because otherwise it would be so hard to overtake for the rest of the race. Is he going to look into turn 1? No, Boomer holds the inside into turn 1, but he's now got the same problem that Rossi just had, where he's going to have to try and defend with ERS only because he doesn't have DRS in the car ahead. But his work might be cut out for him here because Wilt is looking very interested in that P6 as we have a Haas round. I think it's Hyped, so not going to affect anything in this race at the moment. Okay, let's see. Rossi's gap through this bit is just under half a second, so maybe he's able to gain something through his next session. Actually, I think Boomer might just about get DRS on that back marker, so that's going to save him a little bit here. But maybe not. We'll have to find out. Why do they? I get why they show this camera angle, but. Why is this game so broken? Okay. So as you can see now, Rossi only being 3/10 behind at the beginning of the lap. It's you think, oh, maybe he can keep close enough and go for an overtake soon. But it just never happens because of that middle sector and how technical it is. Meaning that dirty air really affects the cars and they can't be close to one another. So that's the kind of that's the reason that we struggle for good racing here at China. Not just in the game, but in real life as well. They have very similar issues. So yeah. Again, Rossi looking at that gap through the middle sector, just over half a second this time, so as you can tell, just not able to keep the car close enough. Husam though, much closer to the car ahead, which is Basket, so maybe a late overtake from him can move himself up into P9 and double his points from this race as Lawrence DNFs. DRS opens now. Is Husam able to go for the move? He looks to the inside. Basket tries to hold the outside. Is he going to go for a switchback? He does try the switchback, but he runs into the back of Husam, and that's going to lose his momentum through the corner, and it basically guarantees that Husam's going to keep that position and hold P9 in this race with 2 laps to go. And yeah, this Haas is kind of annoying the drivers, I think. It is very annoying to have someone drive inside of you, and we have that's where Lawrence retired, so that's why the yellow flag's there. Very strange place to retire. We've actually had a couple of instances like that today where there's just been cars just kind of sat on the side there in very odd places, so I'm not fully sure what's going on. As we come towards the closing stages in this race, it's looking pretty solid as to who's going to finish where, but Rossi has other ideas. He's very close to the back of Boomer, much closer than he's been the last couple of times round, and maybe can make a move onto the straight. He lost out a bit on the exit of that corner. That's going to lose him time all the way up until that DRS zone. Look at the time he's losing, and as he crosses that DRS point, it's half a second. So that small mistake might have cost him P6 in this race. As we are on the final, or the leader, sorry, is on the final lap of this race. So there's a good chance that that mistake has cost him dearly. As we have more yellow flags, it's for Hyped there on the main straight. Not sure what happened to him. He's moving again though, so not retiring just yet. Look how close these guys are on this final lap, as we've actually missed Basket falling behind Husam by quite a long way, so I don't know if he's made a mistake there. But Stan also very close to the back of Polwy. Final lap battle between these two, and Stan's going to run wide on turn 2, and they touched, which meant that Polwy lost his momentum around the outside there, and Stan moves himself up to P13. Big move there from Polwy, and they touch, and he just about catches it from a spin. Now let's come back to this train from before. Rossi a bit further behind than he was last lap. He's going to have to get this section absolutely perfect if he wants any chance at that P6. And he's actually held it quite close this time round. Not the 5/10 we saw before. It's only about a 10th better, but it could be the difference if he decides to go for a lunge later on in the race. Ghost Toy wins the race. Tambi in second. Skolzy will come home in third, followed by Josh Basson. Rudy will come home in fifth, and it looks like he's got the gap to Boomer to hold fifth even with his penalty, and Boomer will come just ahead of Rossi with Wilt 8th, Basket 9th, Husam 10th, Ishtar 11th, Swen 12th, Stan 13th, unless he does something. Polwy doing donuts will be 14th, Smatters will be 15th, Sticklass 16th. These two are actually very close, so maybe we could see a late move from Mr. Sticklass's AI against Smatters' AI. But one person who is not improving their position is Pontus Johansson. And actually there's been an issue there with Hype's car. It's the fact that it's still going round, so it is completely glitched. Jesus Christ. Is that actually Hype driving? Or is that his AI? I don't know. But looks like Smatters will come home ahead of Mr. Stickerlass in the battle for AI supremacy. So we'll wait for these guys to finish the race. Pulpy's still doing donuts. Will now be P16 in this race. So after it was looking quite good for him, just an early safety car actually just ruined his race, as he does a practice start right at the end of the race here. And now finally all cars have crossed the line to finish the race. Husam, driver of the day. I forget where he started, so I don't know if I agree. He probably does deserve it. He did drive well today. As the podium celebrations happen, that did end up being a bit of a procession, just one car followed by another. And I don't think I'm going to do podium interviews this week. My throat is absolutely dead. I have just come back off of a race on my own. So well done to Ghost Toy on his win. Well done to Tamby for second place, back on form. Well done to Skolzy, third place from 10th. Maybe my driver of the day, but maybe that also goes to Boomer, who started 15th and finished 6th. So, yeah, many drivers in contention for that driver of the day today. Husam, of course, picking up a point from starting last. Another good shout. But yeah, I'm going to quickly flick through these if anyone wants to get anything removed. And yeah, I will not do a podium interview because I don't know if you can tell, but my voice is dying. My throat is very dry. Well, I would love to say how that was a super exciting race, but unfortunately I think the track today just didn't allow for it too much, and we got to watch what was a bit of a procession. Personally, I like China. It's good to drive, but in terms of racing, it's not the one. Yeah, very hard to overtake. So yeah, you can't expect too much from it. Yeah, it might have, I'm sure it was very exciting for you, Rossi, to be sat in that fight. But from a spectator's point of view, it just did kind of look like, oh well, he's like just a bit too far away this time, and he's too far away again and again, and the next lap, and he's too far away again. You know, that kind of thing. So hopefully we get more wheel-to-wheel action. And what is the next race? Let's have a look. Calendar. There is. The next race in Britain. Okay. Britain being the next track. If we don't get a good race in Britain, I'm going to lose it. Because how would you not have a good race in Britain? Lovely to see the support there from Bread. Oh my god, my voice is actually gone. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. You don't like UK? What do you mean? How can you not like Silverstone? It's not COVID, I can promise you that. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Just going to quickly check what tier 2 and 1 are up to. So tier 2 are still going. They're only on lap 21 by the looks of it, and tier 3 are on lap 17. So go check either of those two streams out right now if you want to catch the end of that. As for other times, tier 4 will be being streamed on Sunday at the same time, 8 PM UK. So make sure you go check that one out. Thank you for coming and watching this race. I know it hasn't been the best one, so yeah, hopefully we can have a better race next week. Of course, we did have a good one in Australia, and we had many good races last season, so I am hopeful for this season, especially with how close the top end of this field is. You know, a few tenths separating some of the guys here. I mean, we had a second covering P5 down to P17, I think it was. So yeah, make sure you go check that one out. Of course, same time, same day next week. And actually, is it next week, or are we taking a break? Because next week's Christmas. No, it's not next week, sorry. It's in 2 weeks' time. We're taking a break next week, so in 2 weeks' time, make sure to join us for the British Grand Prix. Should be a great race. Definitely was a great race last season. Was actually the first race I commentated last season for this league. So it's going to be good memories going back there with this league. So yeah, as Rossi says, 2/3 week break. So make sure you all tune in for that one. Should be a good one. But as always, thank you for coming, and hope you all have